My eye is literally trying to come for me. It's something in there. I don't even know what's in it, but we're just gonna go ahead and get started with the video. Hey guys, this is Ashley. Welcome on back to my channel. So it is time for another palette rotation, and this palette rotation has a little bit of twist. But before I get carried away, let me go ahead and introduce myself. If you're new to this channel, welcome. And if you're oldie but goodie, welcome on back. My name is Ashley. I have a doctorate in pharmacy and I love makeup. So that's how you get Dr. Ash and her makeup. Now, normally I would tell you eyeshadow is my jam, but wait a minute, eyeshadow really is my jam. We are talking about eyeshadow, but I don't have any on today. And clearly I don't need any on because I don't know what has gotten in my eye, but it's burning. It's trying to sabotage me. And we're here with a nice, dark, deep, vampy lip. This is Fenty Beauty Undefeated. It's like, it's so small. Okay. So what is a palette rotation? So a palette rotation is basically, it's an informal video where I'm showing you all the palettes that I've been using, giving you some inspiration, letting you know you need to dig back. Ooh, I keep trying to film and things really just keep me from trying to film. Okay. And the memory card was complete, so we're going to keep going. So about the palette rotation, it's an informal video where I am just using my palettes. Usually it's in my everyday life. I'm about to go out, go to work or wherever else, and I'm showing you what I use, because a lot of times, you know, we have the new, we have things that we have purchased in our collection and we really do like it, but we're always so focused on the new palettes that come out that we forget about the old things. So I love to reach back into my collection and play with palettes that I've had in the past, maybe the past few months, past couple of years. So I thought like we would do a fall edition. And so just instead of me talking about all the palettes that are great for fall, I'm going to show you what I've used from transitioning to summer to fall. And then over here, I have a gang of fall palettes. So let's get started because this video is going to be chatty. So I have looks with all of these palettes. It's actually kind of big. Like, we have like 6 palettes in this palette rotation, but I thought that these palettes were great from fall, transitioning from summer to fall. And I started off with the McGRATH Rose Decadence palette. So this palette is beautiful, but I mean, honestly, you're going to get the same look every time you use it. Pretty much. Well, maybe not all the time, but anytime I tend to use it, I pretty much go for the same look. And these are just pretty eyeshadows. Like at the end of the day, it's pink. I'll be tired of pink of McGRATH. I feel like every time I pull up a McGRATH palette, I'm gonna be like, oh, it's pink. But at the end of the day, they are solid performing eyeshadows. So like I said, we have the Rose Decadence palette. I know a lot of people don't like this palette, but this palette is kind of like special. It's a little sentimental to me because I got this palette super quick, so I was able to get up a video very, very quickly. And Beaute and Friends found me from this particular palette, this video on this palette. And we've been friends ever since. And then she introduced me to Yadi Beauty, and the rest is history. Next up, we have the Heather Austin palette. And I mean, obviously, you know, this is her collab with Adept Cosmetics, but this just like screams fall. We have the burgundies, we have the chartreuses, we have greens, we have plums, we have bright oranges, and it's just all around a stunning palette. This palette actually came back out as a restock, and it's going to have the updated matte formula. So this matte formula, it worked for me pretty much okay. I do think that this shade could be deeper. I think this shade could just stay on a little bit better, have a little bit more pigmentation, but overall, like the shimmers are really, really pretty. You have some gorgeous multi-chromes in here, dual chrome shimmer formulations, really great. Then I think one of the last looks, I pulled out a oldie. Well, it's not even so much oldie, but I was like, you know what? I haven't used my Naughty Nudes palette in such a long time, and I had a good time using this palette. I did not use the glitter glue. The longevity was still good. I used this little cream shimmer shade. You know how she does the swirl marble shades. The matte still worked well. Definitely, you have all the plums, all the burgundies, and every once in a while, you know, Huda, like, sometimes the palettes pull dark enough and sometimes they don't. But this particular palette, it always seems to work because it definitely pulls dark enough. Now, this one is the Saint Angel Sinners. that was also featured in the palette rotation. And this was a collab with Sminke Brionde. If this doesn't scream fall, it screams summer too. I think it came out more of in a springtime setting, but it definitely screams fall. I mean, any of these palettes you can use anytime, but the color story is gorgeous. It still has great performance. Use this shade right here. I did not use a glitter glue with it. It still had good performance, but you know, I work long hours, so I probably could have benefited from a glitter glue, but it held up really, really well. And then, oh, this was like digging in the crates. So this is one of the reasons why I did not purchase the Natasha Denona Yucca palette, because why? Please explain to me why. Why would I need to purchase that when I have this? This is the Tropical Vibes palette by Beaute Cosmetics. And I mean, it is like green, swampy, turquoise, chartreuse, pop of orange, pop of turquoise. Goodness, the mattes are matting, so you definitely have way more matte options in this particular palette than you do in some of the other palettes with just 3 pops of shimmers. But you can also bring in your own shimmers, but these shimmers are definitely gorgeous and complement the palette, so definitely an ultimate fun. And then this one, I was on the way out, and I feel like this is such a great palette, even though it's a neutral palette. This is the Blend Bunnies Cosmetics All Done Up palette, because you have just so many beautiful kind of earthy tones in this palette. But in that particular moment, I actually focused on this one. And I actually kind of recreated a look that I did in a video because I love the look so much. And I'm going to try to remember to pop a picture right here, but I didn't do any lashes that day. But this is always a favorite kind of staple in my collection, and I just kind of wanted to use it. So we're going to go ahead, we're going to go into the looks, and then real briefly, so this video is not too long, I'm going to show you some other palettes that are excellent for fall. All right, so now that you've seen all the looks, I hope you guys enjoyed them. I had a lot of fun creating them. And like I said, it's just always good to dip back into your palette. So before we're here forever, I have, like I said, all of these, and I have a couple more. So this one is a new addition to my collection, but I love it so. And I could probably say like this is a favorite of the year for me, and this is the Harvest Moon palette. This palette did not disappoint whatsoever, and if this doesn't scream fall, I don't know what to tell you. Like, I don't. So here we go. I mean, you have beautiful multi-chromes. You have some duochromes. You also have some holographic multi-chromes right here. You have beautiful mattes right here that actually, you know, complement each other. They go very well together. You can make them deep. You can make them, you know, smoke them out. You can make them a little bit lighter in tone if you don't want to go too far. You definitely have daytime to nighttime looks in this particular palette. So very happy with it. Okay. Next up, we have all of these, and I was just literally pulling through some things. So, Glaminatrix Cosmetics, we have the Glamorous palette. So, this is just like a fun take on fall. It's definitely, it could be spring, summer, but it's some beautiful shades in here, and these deep purples and plums make this palette very fall appropriate. Next up, we also have the MAC Cosmetics. This is the Feast Your Eyes, and this definitely like kind of hit the scene. Everybody was like, oh my gosh, yes, MAC, finally you get it together. Finally, you got something that we're interested in. You know, MAC used to be that girl, but I don't know what happened. I'm still rooting for them as a brand. They're fine as a brand. You know, people still love them. They still have their great complexion products and all of that stuff, but you know, as far as like the innovative of the eyeshadow palettes, they're just not there anymore. And some of the formulas. But this little palette is beautiful. Oh, I brought up another OG. This would be the Colored Rain Safari Rain palette. And this is another reason why I did not purchase the Yucca palette. I mean, I have probably about 10 reasons why between all my palettes, but gorgeous, gorgeous color story. Once again, we have, you know, kind of like the Ace Beaute palette, but just like narrowed down. We have the chartreuses, we have the plum, well, we don't have any plum, but we have the dark brown, we have like the pewter colors, we have the turquoise, the deep oranges, the golds. It's just, it's really beautiful. One of their best palettes ever. I know this palette kind of came back and they had some trouble with the vendor and it was just kind of a mess. But if you can grab your hands on it, I would definitely pick this up. A new release that's definitely fall, is summer fall. And this is Sumerian Sunset. And honey, she is gorgeous. Full of multi-chromes, very vibrant. Actually, I did not pull that particular palette out, but I do have a palette mashup with this particular palette and the Inspired by Arrow palette. The two together, you can get some amazing, amazing looks. Now, the mattes in this one are just all right. I do like how the color story of the mattes, but these two mattes, the ash factor, it's real, okay? Ash factor is real. But I do have the La Cienega palette by Adept also, which just has a lot of mattes in there that run deeper. So I do plan on playing with both of those. And I just kind of pull that out to just kind of fill in where I need with this particular palette. So a palette that is not very pink and a lot of people love would be the Mothership 6. And this is Midnight Sun by Pat McGrath Labs. And she definitely screams fall. First of all, this little 6-pan right here, bomb, okay? You got the standard satin matte shimmer formula, the great mattes. You have this red tone right here, the deep brown that kind of is like a gray brown, along with the caramel matte. And then you pair it with these particular special shades. Definitely screaming fall. If we can just get some more color stories like this, it's like I just hit my lip with the lipstick, but I would love it. Like, everybody loves this palette. Honestly, I loved this palette when it first came out, but then, you know, I feel like nobody loved it until it started going on sale. And I'm sorry, I'm not being funny, but it is what it is. People like used to really kind of hate on Mothership 6 until recently. I don't know what happened, where the shift was. Another great palette for fall would be the Gemini. Now this one, let's see. I don't know. Like, this is a new palette too. And this shade Smooth is still having some of the same problems that my old one had. Like that white little fuzz in there, but this is my new one. But these tones, these matte shades are perfect. They're very rosy, very smoky, coupled with the greens. You can get some beautiful grungy looks, some everyday looks, but the quality and consistency, it's a lot. I need to change my battery. All right, we got another Melt Cosmetics palette that seems to have better quality control than Gemini 2, and this would be the Rust palette. So, like, do I need to say anything? Like, the tones, they just scream fall. And, oh, I got another, I'm like literally pulling stuff out of my collection. That's why I was like, I really didn't buy too much as far as fall. And honestly, I feel like the fall palettes are always like the best, the prettiest color stories. But as you can see, I have a lot here, okay? So we have She's in Parties. So very plum, but very appropriate. Beautiful, beautiful palette. So now, this particular palette is probably one of my favorite palettes in my collection, and this is the Amulet Nude. This one is discontinued, but this is the deep version of the Amulet Nude by Adept Cosmetics. But look at the tones. We have a gray matte. Y'all know how I feel about the gray matte. The gray matte is like my friend that I haven't seen in a very long time, but when we catch up, it's like we've never skipped a beat. And then we also have a royal blue matte, navy mattes, royal blue mattes. They excite me. The purple. We have the mid-tone brown. That's great coppery, orange, purples, and this beautiful, like, it's a gray base with green and purple, multi-chrome browns. I mean, this palette has just a little bit of everything in there, and it brings me great joy to use it. And then we got two more left. So also by Glaminatrix Cosmetics, we have the Sugar and Spice palette, and I did just do a video on this palette. It is really, really gorgeous. I did pick up their new release, the Rich Romantic, which is more of their spring release, but they're in Australia, so it is their spring. But this right here, really, really pretty. And last but not least, I pulled out my Blend Bunny Surge palette. This palette is on the verge of being discontinued. Oh, and I did want to mention, I do have a code with Blend Bunnies now. It is affiliate, and it's called Dr. Ash. It's just Dr. Ash for the code. And if you want this palette, if you've been thinking about this palette, you need to get your hands on it, because she's not going to be able to source the neon ingredients anymore. But look at it. Like, well, it kind of screams anytime, but like this right in here screams fall, this right in here screams fall, the plums. So I think like this is just such a beautiful and unique palette. So I would definitely grab my hands on this if you were thinking about it. So that is literally enough. I know I ran through these palettes at speed, lightning pace, but it was a lot between the looks and all the things that I think are great for fall. So let me know, what palettes are you loving? What palettes do you have in your collection? Do you have any of these palettes? Let me know down below in the comment section. Give this video a big old thumbs up. Hit the notification bell so you know when I come out with another video, which will be soon. And subscribe to my channel, because you know I love to have you here in my little makeup family. And with all of that being said, you already know what time it is. It's time for the chair dance, chair dance. Hey, 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 chair dance. Chair dance. Hey. All right, y'all. Bye.